Welcome to Industry Game.
But, all right, cool. Well, we're live on the pod. I got my boy Kaleb on.
Yes, sir.
Kaleb, you want to just break it down, a little high-level overview, introduce yourself, and then we'll run it back to the beginning and share your story.
Yeah, my name's Kaleb Joseph. I run a business called the Self-Help Tour, where I travel the country working with families, communities, high performers, and I work as a mental performance coach, working with some of the best athletes in the world, helping them learn to understand the way their mind works so that they can be the best version of themselves.
Hell yeah. So, well, I appreciate you coming on. So I think that why I wanted to have you on and share your story, because I think it's so important that people kind of, in the early years, get to hear somebody that's gone through it. And I want you to share from, like, high school, starting out. When did you know, like, before Cushing, when did you know that you were, like, a ball player? Like, when did it become real that you were good and that you were getting some traction?
For sure. I mean, before I got to Cushing, I had received my first Division I scholarship offer when I was in 8th grade. And I think, like, at that point in my life, when you're young, you're just trying to fit in with everybody. You're just trying to get some motion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think because of, like, where I was at in my life, that felt like this enormous accomplishment. And it felt like everyone knew me for this thing. And I think that's when I knew, like, okay, if this is how people see me, this is why people gravitate towards me, this is the thing that I'm going to latch myself onto. So yeah, probably 8th grade year is when, like, things got really serious, and then obviously going into Cushing, things kind of took on a life of its own.
All right, so you're in 8th grade,
Yeah.
You get your first offer, and then prep schools, because obviously that's where we met. We went to school together. Were you thinking about a bunch of other prep schools, or did Cushing call and you jumped?
I visited a handful of prep schools, but I felt like Cushing was the right place for me because, you remember Barry Connors?
Yeah, hell yeah! Shout out to Barry Connors.
Like, I think he was just, like, the most, like, honest with me.
Yeah.
About, like, I told him, like, up front, like, listen, I want to go to Syracuse, and I want to go to the NBA, and, like, I need somebody who's going to help me get there.
Right.
And he was just very transparent with me about, like, what it was going to require, and I believed him, so I gave it a shot, and yeah, man, that's when I met the world famous George Peters.
Yeah, so funny, dude. Freshman year in the dorms, dude. I'll never forget that fucking dorm, dude.
Bro, it's incredible. Prep school is such
it's a wild place. So I was out with my buddy last night having dinner, and we were chatting about it, and I couldn't even get over, like, like, the things that were going on up there on a day-to-day basis, living with your buddies at 14, 15 years old. I loved it.
Bro, it was
a
a wild experience. I feel like people don't really, like, those years were so, like, formative.
Totally.
Right? Like, the relationships that I established at Cushing, like you, Mully, Jamie, like,
Yeah.
I still talk to all of you guys all the time. And I feel like, yeah, man, we were getting into some shit.
Yeah, 100%. And I always enjoyed it up there. And then, would you say, like, in high school you were identifying with basketball, like that was your identity?
Yeah, for sure. I think, like, you got to realize, like, for any 14, 15-year-old kid, like, you're just trying to find your way.
Right.
Like, you're really just trying to find your way. And I think, like, going to prep school and being surrounded by so many other personalities, perspectives, like, ways of living, family dynamics,
athletes,
like you're just, it's like you're just being exposed to so much, and everybody goes into these sort of environments, like, holding their badge of honor of, like, this is who I am, this is why I'm here, and this is what I do.
And this is where I'm going. So you better believe it.
100%, because it's like, you take a bunch of 15, 16-year-old kids and, like, all who are, like, hyper competitive and,
like,
the
best in their town.
100%, right? It creates this sort of, like, battle of the fittest type environment.
Yep.
And only the strongest survive. And I felt like that was my calling card. I felt like that was the best trick in my pocket that I had.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I mean, I look at, like, a prep school similar to, like, a college, right? 100%. Like, there's a lot. You're from Nashua, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, Nashua High basketball is a different ball game than Cushing.
100%.
So, like, I feel like that step to Cushing, because you guys were good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys won it your junior year?
Yeah.
Senior year?
Yeah. We had a really good team. It was me, I obviously
Who was just lay out the team, like where everybody went.
For sure.
From that year.
So I ended up going to Syracuse. The guy in the backcourt with me, Jalen Adams, played at UConn. Andrew Schrabis played at Butler. Idris Taki played at
St. Bonnie's.
At St. Bonnie's. And then you had like the guys coming off the bench. Like you had Matt Barr, who went to play at Bentley. We had a team.
Yeah, there was some depth.
Yeah.
No, you guys were playing for keeps for sure. It was fun to go to those games, and those games were always wild, bro. Those games were wild.
100%.
But all right, so after Cushing, you obviously go to Syracuse. I want you to walk us through like your mindset of like going to Syracuse. What's that jump like? What's your mental health like going to Syracuse?
Yeah, man. I when I got to. So, like, mind you, like, I had dreamed of playing basketball at Syracuse since I was in 6th grade. Like, this was a very, very clear vision for me.
Yeah, I remember freshman year when we were on a run. You told me, like, this is where I'm going.
I'm going to Syracuse.
Yeah.
So, like, I had always had this sort of vision for my life. And when Syracuse came in, they offered me a scholarship my sophomore year. And by this point, like, I'm now one of the top 5 point guards in the country. So, like, every school in America is recruiting me.
Right.
And it didn't matter. Like, it was Syracuse or
you didn't care.
nothing.
You were
100%.
Yeah.
And when they offered me, I committed pretty much like on the spot, right? I took my visit, took my family, but I knew I was going. And when I got onto campus, like my freshman year, like I'm in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is too good to be true, right? Like I'd always kind of had a lot of opinions about like where I should have went to school and how I was like performing, and I think being a really highly touted recruit, like it creates this sort of persona for you to hide behind.
Right.
Right. Like you feel like you have to show up in the world in a certain way, and I definitely did. Like I definitely like hid behind that mask, and
of just identifying as just a basketball player. This is what I do.
This is who I am. So what I do, there's nothing more, nothing less. But there was a ton of stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I got to campus, I was projected to be National Freshman of the Year, and I never experienced that sort of exposure.
What was that pressure like?
It was immense. Like,
yeah.
Because you got to think, like, when I got there, like, Syracuse at the time was, you got it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Syracuse at the time was like point guard university. So they had 3 lottery picks at my position.
Yep.
Back to back to back. So now, when I commit to Syracuse, I'm supposed to be the backup point guard, and then
you step into that. Yeah, you play that role. Yeah.
100%. I come.
So they're just filtering pointer.
100%. But instead, the guy who was in front of me, Tyler Ennis, he led Syracuse to the best start in school history. So he ends up leaving, going early.
Yeah, so you had some big shoes to fill right away.
100%.
And you're, what are you, 18 years old?
Bro, 18, 17 years old, and I'm just like wide-eyed, my dream's in front of me, I'm doing the thing I've always wanted to do, but it just didn't feel the way I anticipated it.
Right.
And, bro, it was a roller coaster. Like, it was a roller coaster.
All right, so you get in there. Is this when does your mental health waver at all, like in high school, or is it in college? Do you start to get a little like? Is it overwhelming?
Well, I think it's like.
Are you feeling overwhelmed at this time? Or are you ready for it? Like,
if I'm honest, like I think, like when it comes to mental health, like we all have a brain, you know what I mean, and we all have a brain that's programmed to avoid suffering and discomfort.
Right.
So the bigger the dreams, the bigger the fear.
Yeah.
Because that's just how the world works, right? You don't get one end without the other.
Right.
So while I didn't recognize that this was going on, it was absolutely at play, you know, because I'm a human, right? This is just a part of the human experience. So the closer I got to my dream, and the more tightly I held on to it, because it's like, this is everything, and you don't realize that sort of attachment, it's not healthy, right? Because there's no freedom. There's just, I need this thing to work out in the way that I see it. And if it doesn't, then what does that mean for my life? And these are all thoughts and feelings that I'm having internally, but I don't have the courage to vocalize to anyone.
So you're not talking to anybody about it?
No, because nobody is. Again, like you take these alpha athletes and you throw them in this room, and it's like,
everybody's the man. If nobody has feelings, everybody's the man. You're just trapped.
100%. And so everyone's hiding in plain sight, but nobody wants to acknowledge the human experience underneath this.
Right.
Like, this isn't normal for any 17, 16-year-old kid to have a bunch of adults writing articles and picking you apart. That's not normal.
Right.
You know, it's kind of bizarre.
The critics, yeah, it's crazy.
You know, like it's a game that you love, and it now quickly turns into this business. So yeah, I was dealing with all of it, and when I played good, you know, like any insecure person would, like I was at every fucking party, I was at every bar, I was at every frat.
Yeah.
You couldn't like.
Yeah, everything was good. Yeah. And then when you play bad, it's probably like
the opposite,
what's it like when you play bad?
It's the opposite end of the spectrum. It turns into this, you know, like the shame of like, I'm not leaving my apartment until I have the next opportunity to prove myself to the world.
Yeah.
Right. And you start to like have these like really extreme highs, but also these really extreme lows. But nobody really knows about it because you just get really good at hiding because this feels like a chink in the armor.
Right.
And then the more you expose yourself for the human experience, the more flawed you feel in a world where everyone wants to hide.
Yeah.
You know?
And then everybody on the other side just wants you to just be the star. And like if you don't show up, if you have a bad day,
it's a business.
It's on you. Yeah, it's on you.
100%.
All right, so you're at Syracuse, so freshman year, sophomore year, and then walk us through what's next after that.
Yeah, I mean, so by the end of my freshman year, mind you, I had went into Syracuse like projected national freshman of the year. I'm thinking I'm going to be one and done.
Right.
And because of the mental and emotional instability, I just wasn't consistent as a player. And because of that, by the end of my freshman year, I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated Top 10 Most Disappointing Players. And
how did that make you feel? Like, what was your thought there?
Like everything you could imagine, right? Like what 17-year-old kid can feel comfortable walking out into the world knowing that this is one of the biggest sports magazines.
Yeah, the biggest.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that everybody had read this. And Syracuse is one of the biggest media schools in the country, right? So like I didn't know how to process that. It felt.
Did you talk to anybody about it, or
fuck no? Because you
just kept suppressing it.
If you talk about it makes it real.
Yeah.
If you talk about it, you have to like really like acknowledge like what this means, and then
you're giving it life.
100%, right? And then you have to consider like, well, do you think this is true? And
then you don't want to ask somebody if they think it's true because you're scared.
100%, right? And so and then I come back my sophomore year, and you know, I had a really good off season, and by the end of preseason, I'm thinking I'm going to like have a really good year because you know, all preseason games, like I'm doing really well. I feel confident, I trust myself, and everything's kind of coming into play. But the reality was, I think my coach didn't trust that I was going to be able to handle what it meant to carry this team.
Right.
And so I wasn't playing as much, and I didn't know when my minutes were going to come. One game I played 20 minutes, next game I play 5 minutes, and when you don't have
was that a shock to you from playing the whole game?
Well, of course, right? This is unheard of.
You never came out of the game.
Right? When you come in as projected national freshman of the year, as one of the top 5 point guards in the country, there's an expectation from you and from the rest of the world and how this is going to go.
Yeah.
And that sort of decline was really unheard of. So everybody's asking questions, everybody's wondering what's going on, and we're not allowed to talk to the media. I don't have the infrastructure to be able to like navigate this challenge because I'm so emotionally attached to this.
You were just so overwhelmed?
Well, I think like you ask any athlete, even in high school, like even the kids that suck, right? Like
no matter what.
When coach pulls you out, plays you, it feels like this Jedi mind game.
Yeah, at any level.
100%.
At any level, dude.
Right? Mind you, doing this in front of the entire world.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have the mental skills to be able to process what was going on, to be able to like really navigate this. Mm-hmm. And that really started to kind of plant the seeds for the work I do now, but I didn't know it at the time. So
in hindsight, it's like 2020 though, right?
100%.
Without that, you don't have this, right?
100%. That's the way it goes. But yeah, like my team, we're on a Final Four run, right? And like anybody who's played on a really good ball club, you know that you never want to be the cancer in the locker room. When your team's like on a roll, you don't want to make it about you.
Right.
So, you just kind of have to eat it. And after that season,
did you stay positive through it all?
Yeah, on the surface,
yeah,
for sure.
But on the inside, you were
I was miserable. I was fucking miserable.
Yeah, because you want to play. You don't want to be dealing with that. I don't blame you.
100%. So after the Final Four run, I have a conversation with Coach Boeheim, and I ended up transferring to Creighton University, and yeah, man, I just picked the furthest school away and tried to run away.
Okay, and then I want to go after that. You go to Europe. You start playing in Europe.
Yeah.
Well, I want to learn about like the process of like at what point was your lowest point where you were like, yo, I want to start making a change here in terms of like your mental health. You know what I mean? At what point were you like, was it at Syracuse when you were at your most frustrated?
Well, I think it's a culmination of everything, right? Like you think about, by the end of my senior year at Creighton, I had gone through so much that I just didn't know how to process, like most athletes.
So even at Creighton, you weren't talking to anybody. You were
just because that's like who does, right? Like, genuinely, like who does? So yeah, like you think, this kid comes into college, he's supposed to be one and done. Doesn't play much his sophomore year. After his freshman year, Sports Illustrated top 10 most disappointing players. Sophomore year comes back on a Final Four run, but he's not a part of it at all. Transfers. At that time, you had to redshirt, so I had to sit out a year. By the time my year is ready to play, 2 weeks before the season opener, they come out and they say I'm top 10 most impactful transfers. 1 week before we get started, I tear my hamstring. So
it's like such a mind game.
It's like back on this emotional roller coaster. I'm trying, because I have this attachment to the game, I come back earlier than I can. I come back earlier than I should, so I re-injure myself. So the torn hamstring, it just lingers and lingers and lingers.
Yeah, and you're just suppressing that injury.
And now, I'm not able to play until my senior year, and I hadn't played meaningful basketball in 3 years now, right? I didn't play meaningful minutes. So by the end of that, like, I'm just kind of burnt out. I'm burnt out. I'm coming off the bench because I haven't like established a role for myself. I'm playing well, and I'm learning to figure out how to navigate this because I have so much experience, but like this isn't how I thought my college career would go.
Yeah.
Right. Every year I got further from like what I had envisioned for myself. I felt like I was being pulled further and further away from who I was supposed to be. So no matter what I did, it felt like failure.
Right.
So by the time it's time to, finish up my college career, I'm like, what the hell else am I going to do, right? I'm still attached to this version of myself.
This identity.
Of this, like I still have to make something of myself. People still see me this way.
Right.
And I knew that going back to like getting a regular job, like that would have felt like the nail in the coffin given how my college career had played out.
Yeah.
So I hold on to this dream and I go play overseas. Fucking miserable.
You weren't happy over there.
Fuck no. I was miserable.
So you go overseas, you're playing professional basketball, and you're miserable the whole time.
Absolutely. But and quite honestly, like I don't realize it because I'm still in this place of denial, right? The idea of admitting that this isn't what I wanted
makes it real.
100%.
Yeah, admitting it makes it real.
100%. So I'm playing overseas. The lifestyle is completely different. Mind you, I just went from playing at an ACC school, a Big East school, the way we travel, the way we, the
way
hotels,
everybody views you guys.
100%.
Yeah.
It's you're on a pedestal when you play at that level. Overseas, it's like people aren't watching your games that much. They got to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, so you're not getting the text after games. It doesn't have the same clout, right? So you're wrestling with this internal battle of like, I really don't like what I'm doing, but the idea of walking away feels far too threatening. So I might as well just continue to do what I've always done. Like, let me just hold on to this.
It's easier to hold on than let it go.
100%. 100%.
How important for you was pivoting your careers, and at what moment did you decide I need to pivot and then embark on this new journey?
For sure.
What was that moment for you that flipped the switch?
I think it happened slowly, because while I was overseas, I just fell into a lifestyle of like just constant chaos.
What
right?
was that lifestyle
I created chaos in my life so that I could live in this constant state of avoidance of what my life had become. So I was out every night partying. I was chasing girls. I was living life of an addict, if I'm being quite honest with you. And it couldn't last, right? It just couldn't last. I remember, I had a girlfriend at the time who came out to visit me, and she realized very quickly that there was something going on, like I was not okay.
Right.
But I didn't see it. I was so lost in this space. I didn't recognize that like I was living in such an unhealthy way. And she just pretty much just called me on my shit and was like, you need to figure this out. Like, you need to figure this out.
You. Yeah.
Yeah. And she left, right? She was supposed to be there for like 3 weeks. She ended up leaving after like 4 days.
She was out of there. Yeah.
And I think that was, and she told me like, I'm not staying if you don't figure it out.
Right.
So I think that was the turning point for me, because she felt like the only person who had loved me at that point in my life, like despite all the failure that I had, that I was lost in at that time, and yeah, man, as soon as that season was over, I went home and I got my shit together. Like as soon as I went home, I checked myself into a rehab facility, and honestly, because of the people that I met while I was at Cushing Academy, I was able to like find the right resources and kind of put my life together, and man, like it was incredible.
Awesome. So you get to the rehab facility, you just focus on your health, your mental health. What are the steps from there? Because I think that's something. I think that for somebody that has the confidence to like wave the flag and say, all right, I'm going in. I'm like gonna go clean this up, or I'm gonna go face these problems head on. To somebody that's listening, like, how important was that moment for you, and just like kind of putting your guard down and going through those?
Yeah,
things?
I think like, I don't know if I would describe it as confidence as much as I would desperation.
Really?
Right? Like genuine desperation of like something has to change. Like I don't like the way that I feel. Clearly it's not working, and I've done everything that I could. I've tried every trick that I have in my playbook, and here I am. So at some point,
talk about vulnerability,
bro. It was like I was wide the fuck open.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. So I was desperate, and I walk into this place called Heron Wellness. It was fucking hard.
Really?
Oh my, bro! You got to realize,
because you went from partying all the time.
Yeah, like you're trying. Well, you're just trying to like on a human level, like you're trying to make sense of your entire life in a way that has never. You have to look at your life in a way that you've never been able to, because it felt too confronting.
Right.
And nobody teaches you how to do that. Like people don't, like that's not a normal way of living. If you have access to people who teach you how to self-reflect, teach you how to be introspective, and teach you how to face your biggest fears, like that is a gift. And it doesn't always feel like it at the time because it's extremely confronting, but that was the biggest gift that I could have ever received at that point in my life. And I was so desperate for answers and for peace that I was willing to try something that felt that scary.
You were at the edge of your seat. You were like, I need to find something.
100%.
Because whatever I'm doing isn't working.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the, like I had a similar situation where I was just like, just so anxious. I had a concussion, and I was just like, I would do anything for like that peace of mind.
For sure.
And what I ended up finding like journaling to actually be the thing that worked for me.
For sure.
And I hit that journal where I was like, I've already met with every doctor. You know what I mean? I've checked off the Boston doctors, the LA UCLA doctors. Like I had been meeting with like on paper the best of the best doctors.
And it felt like nothing was working.
Nothing was working. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this journaling thing, right? Because I saw this like YouTube thing, and then I started writing down, I don't get anxious and I don't get headaches. And I did that every night for like 20 minutes, filling out pages before I would go to bed. And then like 2 weeks later, after having headaches every day for like a year and a half, they were gone. And then my anxiety was fucking on the decline, and it was just like so much better.
100%. Like you talk about that desperation.
But I had I was like, I have no fucking choice. I gotta write this shit down because like the other shit isn't working.
I'll try anything. And I think the reality is there are a lot of people who are struggling.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of people who are struggling, but because they don't understand how their minds are programmed to work. I think so much of the human suffering comes from a lack of understanding of the human experience, right? Like, and this is what really planted the seed and is the mission of the work that I do now, but it's really to help people understand their brain's natural functionality, helping people understand how their mind and emotions influence their decisions, right? So you talk about that desperation that we both experience, that most people experience at some point in their life, like, we didn't have to get there.
Right.
Like there's a way to like navigate life in a way where you 100%. But because we're not having honest dialogue about the reality, about the realities of what the human experience of where the human experience can take you, you're living in this constant state of denial, and that's natural, right? People don't understand. Our brains are programmed to avoid suffering and discomfort at all costs. Our brains are programmed to avoid suffering and discomfort at all costs. And in order for your brain to, like, think of your brain as like a bodyguard to your emotional being. If your brain is going to be an effective bodyguard, it has to constantly be scanning for potential threats. And what your brain considers threats are the emotions and experiences that are hard for your brain to process. So every single year of your life, every single room you've ever gone into, your brain is constantly scanning, is this uncomfortable? Could this lead to suffering? And if it can,
let's avoid it.
Avoid it.
At all costs.
At all costs. And
literally run.
Literally run. And what happens is our brain is such a well-oiled machine that's programmed to do this, it will come up with narratives to keep you safe, right? The narratives are our brain's most creative way of keeping us safe. So you tell yourself, I'm not going to do this because XYZ. Whatever XYZ is the story you're telling yourself to protect yourself, but you think it's true.
Yeah, it's not true. Yeah.
You think it's true, and you convince yourself it's true because if you play it safe,
you're good. You're not going to get laughed at.
You're not going to get laughed at. You're not going to deal with.
You don't have to deal with.
You're not going to deal with rejection. You're not. Whatever it is that you're afraid of.
Unknown, yeah.
Whatever it is that you're afraid of. Whatever it is that. And that's why unknown is so scary, right? You take a moment of uncertainty and you inject this brain that's programmed to avoid suffering and discomfort. It's going to come up with every reason why and how this could go wrong.
Right.
So you live this life of comfortability.
It's not good.
No, it's terrible. and most people, we all know that we're capable of more. We have this intuition that tells us that we have more potential than what we're fulfilling. We're engaging in a world that feels in a way that feels safe, and that is so fucking depressing.
Yeah.
To know that you're capable of more, but not have a clear pathway on how to tap into that.
Without a doubt. I think about this all the time. I think that people are afraid to do things because of like what other people think.
There's
and like people aren't even fucking thinking about you to begin with.
100%.
And people are afraid to go up to, and it could be anything from like starting a business, hosting your first podcast, starting your first speech. I remember your first speech, or I remember the first time I saw you post your speaking engagement, and there was like 5 people in a classroom. I remember that shit. And you had like a notebook and you were sitting down and there was like 5 people around the table. And I think that I want to touch on that because now like you're selling out auditoriums and stadiums and people are coming to hear you speak. And now all of a sudden it's all good. You know what I mean? Now everybody's patting you on the back, I'm sure, because you have thousands of people coming to your keynotes and this and that. But like, it started with you in a fucking classroom with like
For
5
sure.
people.
For sure. And I want to be very, very clear that all of the same fears that I had when I walked out onto a basketball court playing in front of 35,000 people in the Carrier Dome, I felt every single fear, doubt, and insecurity when I sat down in a classroom with 5 people, because it's the human experience. You take the same brain with you into every arena of your life, and that's why you see me in every single engagement. I wear this shirt. It says person over player.
Yeah.
Who you are as a person will dictate how you perform in any arena of your life, as a parent, as a son, as a partner, in business. You take the same brain with you into every arena of your life, and the more you understand yourself, the more freedom you have of choice. You no longer become a slave to your fear, doubts, and insecurities. So I say that to say, that first engagement, speaking at Milton Academy with the boys basketball team in a room full of 15 kids, you couldn't have convinced my body that I wasn't walking out into the Carrier Dome in front of 35,000.
Right.
But you couldn't have convinced me, because all of those fear, doubts, and insecurities were there. They were very present.
Yeah.
The difference was I now had the tools and awareness and the courage to do the uncomfortable thing despite how I felt.
Yeah.
And that willingness to do that, that's the only way that you give your brain an opportunity to collect evidence that you are capable of doing hard things.
Yeah.
Because I said to you earlier, we all have a brain that's constantly scanning.
Yeah.
And what happens is every time you play it safe, you confirm to your brain that you're not capable of doing hard things.
Right.
But the moment you step over the line and do the hard thing despite how you feel, now you give yourself an opportunity to collect evidence that you are capable.
Yep.
And the more you engage with that level of discomfort, the more you realize I can do hard things. And now you realize that, and that's what confidence is, right? Most people think confidence means the elimination of fear. It's not. It's how you respond. It's the choices you make that reflect your relationship with fear. And doing that often enough, it doesn't make the fear go away.
You stack more evidence proving that you can do it.
Exactly. And that's the thing. The fear never goes, bro,
even
today, I travel the country, I speak, I work with some of the best athletes in the world. I speak in auditoriums with thousands of people. And every single time I have to speak, I want to shit my pants.
It's the same, yeah.
I want to shit my pants.
Right, yeah. But you face the fear rather than...
You have to. You have to. I've made it my life's mission. When I feel that way, I have to
go towards
do
it.
I have to. Because that's the only way
through. It's the only way through.
That's the only way that you can... who the fuck am I to be working with athletes who have to face themselves in front of the world? And I'm encouraging them and forcing them to confront their deepest fears. Mm-hmm. And then when I face mine, I run from it. You can sniff that shit out a mile away.
Yeah.
You can sniff it out. You can tell when somebody's being authentic. You can tell when somebody's done the work. You can tell when somebody's willing to do the uncomfortable. You can tell.
Yeah. You can also just tell when people are doing things that that's hard for them. Like stepping up to bat.
100%.
You know what I mean? The difference between I feel like the people that make it and the people that don't is I feel like the people that make it just keep showing up.
100%.
And there was this news anchor I was listening to on a podcast the other day, and she went to 50 different radio stations, in her car driving around. This was 40 years ago.
You think about the desperation that she had to
no
be in
choice.
to get that. You have to completely strip yourself of ego, pride, all of it in order to do the thing.
And I feel like now people send one email and then get discouraged. Mm-hmm. But I think that when you just keep showing up in different ways and getting creative with it, it's similar to asking a girl. It's similar to asking. It's similar to asking going up to the girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to play it safe and not go introduce yourself because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to get denied. Mm-hmm. And the best thing that's going to happen is you're going to go on a date. Mm-hmm. But I think that what I've realized is I'd way rather I'd way rather get denied than wonder what could have happened.
100%.
You know what I mean? In any area, And I think that my point there is if you have an itch to try something or do something or go ask somebody out, just go do it. Because whether it's asking a girl out and she says no, it's all good. Mm-hmm. You're going to build confidence off of rejection anyway. But you're not going to get confidence by playing it safe and hanging out and never doing anything.
100%. I think, and no matter how many times somebody on the outside hears those words, or hears their dad tell them, just try it, just do it.
Yeah.
Or hears their coach saying, oh, it's okay, just do it. This is how you build confidence. No matter how many times you hear that message, the only way that it will ever digest and resonate in your heart is by engaging.
You got to do the work.
You have to engage, because what happens is the reason somebody's afraid the reason somebody continues to not engage is because they don't have the bandwidth to sit in those emotions. They don't have the emotional bandwidth to sit in that discomfort.
Right.
And the only way you build that bandwidth is to fucking do it.
Yeah, you got to do it.
You got
to do it.
So you have to, like, you got to dip your toes in, and
you got to try it.
Bro, it's
But to your point on like reps, like with anything, right? Like you just get. It's not that like the fear goes away, but it's that you get better at like just exercising the muscle of facing the fear.
You give yourself more and more opportunity to collect evidence that you are capable.
And that's the confidence builder.
100%, right? And you realize that confidence isn't the elimination of fear. Confidence is reflected in the decisions I make when fear arises. And I think that like really just reframing that allows people to have a better and more realistic understanding of their experience and how to engage in the world. And I think, you know, in the work that I do now, when I work as a mental performance coach with high performers, that's really what it is. And this is something that even the best athletes, even the highest performers in the world still have to wrestle with, because they're human.
Yeah.
And they have a brain that's programmed to do the exact same thing that everyone else is. Mm-hmm. And there's always that 1%, right? Like I work with guys in the NFL, guys in the NBA, alongside 13-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Who are afraid that they're going to get cut from their middle school team.
Yeah.
That human fear never leaves the body.
The guy in the Celtics could have the same fear as the guy that's 13 years old.
100%.
And he could be going in the locker room with the same fear. I'm going to get cut today. I'm not going to play. Of course. I'm not going to play.
And that's the thing that most
it doesn't matter how old you are.
They don't understand. Like the higher level you go, the higher the stakes. The higher the stakes.
You don't want to be, yeah.
You look at, we're in the playoffs right now in the NFL. You have a kicker going out there. He will lose his job. He will lose his job.
He will. Yeah, exactly.
If he does not make this punt. What do you think the fear is going on in his mind? Yep. What do you think the intrusive thoughts in his mind are telling him?
If I don't make this, then I'm that.
And the relationship that he has with his fear is going to dictate whether or not the physical work he's done can showcase itself, can rise. And I just think that people don't understand the emotional demands of greatness.
Yeah, you're right.
It's very, very easy to think about the physical work that greatness requires for athletes, or the amount of time that it takes to require a skill. But the part that gets negated is the mental and emotional demands of greatness and what that looks like. And as long as you are unclear about the emotional demands of greatness, when the micro opportunities present themselves for you to step over that line, you're going to be very inconsistent in how you engage with it.
Right.
Because there's a lack of accountability and awareness.
Preparation, too. You're not used to going,
You know? And I think that's the game changer. That's the game changer. Your level of awareness when these moments call and demand the best version of yourself, like how you engage with that, it's everything.
Yeah. And I wanted, so like when you're doing these engagements or you're working with teams and athletes and stuff like that, what's like a common theme that keeps coming up that you'd like to share with like the people that like?
Honestly, I think it's.
Sorry, I don't understand.
I don't know why my phone keeps going off. Sorry, keep going.
You're good. I think it's everything that we're talking about, right? Everything that we're talking about, and this isn't anything that's new under the sun. I think the reality is, we just have to start identifying our narratives. Like, what's the story I tell myself when the best version of me is required?
Yeah.
What's the story I tell myself that makes me want to play it safe?
Yeah.
Or holds me back from fully committing? And I think when we can start to identify our narratives, which is our brain's most creative way of protecting us, it allows us to start developing a more honest relationship with ourselves.
Yep.
And now you start to have a certain level of accountability for how you engage with the world, right? You start to see this as more than just a sports-related experience, more than just a business-related experience, because you recognize I'm taking the same brain with me when I go home to my wife, when I talk to my kids, right? When I show up in the office, when the game's on the line, I take the same brain with me into every arena of my life. And the more we can start understanding who we are as people and really dialing into that, the greater we perform.
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy. I mean, I think that like creating your own narrative is so true. Like whatever you tell yourself is what it is,
100%.
right? Like if you tell yourself you can't all day, you can't. But if you try whatever it is you're trying to do and you do it over and over again and you stack enough evidence over time on whatever that craft is, that's where the confidence is gonna be built from. And I don't know. I was like, I just did this real estate transaction and with my brother, and I was just like, damn, dude, like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing here. Like, and I think that the reality of what the deal that I just did, we got it done before the new year.
Congrats, brother.
Thank you, brother. And we got it done, and it wasn't pretty, like it wasn't smooth, but like I just kept fucking going, and I kept chipping through it, and at that moment, I realized when I was telling my brother, I was like, dude, like I have no fucking idea what I'm doing, but I'm willing to just keep getting up to bat and keep swinging at this thing and hammering through it. And I'm like going through documents. I don't even know what the fuck I'm reading.
100%.
Talking to my lawyer, I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Bro.
He's like explaining to me. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about.
100%.
Yes, I saw your email, but I don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
And my point here is like, we got that deal done, and like you don't get that deal done by having all the answers 100% ready to go before. You kind of just figure it out as you go, and by the end of that deal, I was able to learn so much.
100%. It's that humility.
And just going through it. And I think that it's, Chase Winovich said this on the pod last week. He said he said this quote. He was like, something done poorly is better than something not done at all. 100%. So like you might as well fucking just keep showing up and 100%. Chipping away at whatever it is.
100%. I think like to what you just spoke about, like that is the name of the game in entrepreneurship. And that's the name of the game in life.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you really take a step back and think about what it requires to be a high performer, whether that's a professional athlete or an entrepreneur, somebody who runs a business. Everything that you just described required honest self-reflection, managing your fear, doubts, and insecurities. It required surrender. It required humility. It required courage. It required discipline. It required vigilance, right? It required communication and an ability to articulate your vision. All of these like tangible tools are necessary in every arena of our life to live the highest quality of life.
Yep.
It doesn't mean that we're rarely going to have all of the answers. We're rarely going to walk into circumstances that are stacked in our favor, and it's our ability to show up in a full way to be able to embrace this reality that allows us access to the chance of having success.
Yeah.
Doesn't guarantee anything.
Right.
But
the probability is a lot higher if you go that route than if you just chill at home and play it safe.
It's the only opportunity you get. It's the only way that this could potentially work out. And to still have the courage to go all in on something that you're not guaranteed.
Yeah.
That is that's the equivalent of high performance.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that when you embark on whatever it may be and show up and whatever it is, and if you're willing to put in the time, work, and effort and energy, and it compounds over time, like 100%. You're going to build something, and if it doesn't work out, you've learned a whole lot, and then you can pivot. You know what I mean? 100%. Just like you did with basketball. Without basketball, you're not gonna have this company.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because you had the experiences to package it up to now actually have that wisdom to share it with people that are going through it.
Everything you just described, like that's what. Like I didn't go to school for business, and here I am running my business. Right. These are all intangible skills that are transferable. They're transferable, but you have to have the willingness, you have to have the willingness, and you have to understand what the fuck is going on. I will always say this. If you don't know how your brain is programmed to work, it's going to work against you.
Yeah.
If you don't know how your brain is programmed to work, it's going to work against you. And I think that is step one of being able to unlock your full potential. And you're doing it, brother.
No, it's so funny. We were chatting. Remember when I started the pod? I was like, yo, I got the pod going. And again, like I just had the mics going in my apartment, like trapping out of my backpack, showing up wherever I was going.
100%.
And I was like, and I had no idea what I was doing. Like I didn't even know if the audio was picking up properly when I was interviewing people. But I was like, all right, it's all good. We're just going to, if I do enough interviews,
figure it out.
I will figure something out and I'll get a little bit of a rhythm going. But dude, again, I also think it's important to like surround yourself with people that are doing things that inspire you, because if you're around a bunch of people that are a prisoner to their mind, that play it safe in every area, I think that can be just debilitating towards your growth.
It is because again, your brain is always scanning. It's always scanning. And that's why people naturally gravitate towards the others that are doing the hard thing. Because that's what inspiration is. Because my brain is scanning and I recognize that this person possesses an attribute that I admire. I want to draw closer to them. I want to know more about them. It's very attractive. And that is literally what inspiration is. So in the same way that you gravitate toward this and it pulls you what it does is like when you see someone living on the other side of vulnerability, what it does is it plants a seed that's possible.
Yeah, it's okay.
And just that seed being planted creates this dialogue in you that makes you consider, well, why am I not? Or how can I? And once you start asking yourself those questions,
doors start unlocking,
100%. If you're being honest with yourself, right? If you have the willingness to sit in those discomforts and the discomfort that the honest answers will elicit.
Yep.
Because sometimes the honest answer is going to make you feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm being a little bitch.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not showing up the way I want to. I'm 100% a slave to my fears. And that's not comfortable. But what you learn about yourself, again and again, like I think when you understand that this is how our brains are naturally programmed, it kind of dissolves some of the shame. It allows you to see yourself as human, and it allows you to, okay, now once I get rid of all this shame, like, okay, I can do something here. I can do something with this, right?
100%. So I want to run it back to, if you were to give one person, a kid advice who's a freshman in college playing at the highest level of any sport and they're not having the season that they want to be having, what advice would you give them if they're in a similar situation to what you were at? And just give me that advice.
Everything you want in life is on the other side of vulnerability. Everything you want in life is on the other side of vulnerability. You will never develop the friendships or the relationships that we all desire if you're not willing to let them in. You will never make the game-winning shot if you're not willing to take the risk. You will never fulfill your greatest potential if you're not willing to take the risk. And the sooner that you develop the tools to be able to navigate the emotions that come with risk, the sooner your life really begins.
Yeah, 100%. It's true, man. It's true. Like, it's easy to not take that shot, that game-winning shot. Everybody wants to hit that shot, but nobody wants to miss that shot.
And the tricky part is, we're all, like, the reason you don't take the shot is because you're afraid of disappointment. You're afraid of sitting in the disappointment. But the reality of it is, when you don't shoot the ball, you're still disappointed.
Yeah, either way.
So you're living this life trying to avoid emotions that you're already engaging with.
You're going to feel it anyway.
You're just engaging with it passively. But if you can make a conscious, intentional decision and recognize that I already know what disappointment feels like.
Right.
Now, if I'm going to feel disappointed, I'm going to give myself a chance to be proud of myself.
There's no difference between taking that game-winning shot, like going for the shot, shooting that shot. If you miss that shot, the crowd is upset, you miss it, whatever. If you don't shoot it, you're just as disappointed because you didn't go for it, because you're wondering, what if I did shoot it? I could have made that shot. And it's a similar thing as if you're out and you see the girl of your dreams, you can either shoot your shot and ask her out, or in the best case, she says yes. Worst case, she says no. But like you not even pursuing that and being interested in it is the same thing as, like, you're gonna you're gonna deal with the rejection anyway. Because at least if she rejects you, at least you know you went for it.
That's how we build self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's how we build, and this gets into, like, the work that I do with parents of athletes. Like, that is how you build self-esteem.
Yeah.
When you recognize that you're capable of doing hard things, you're capable of handling disappointment, and surviving it.
How important do you think rejection is?
It's critical.
And why is that?
Because you're not always going to be accepted.
Yeah.
You're not. And if you don't learn how to deal with the emotions that are associated with rejection, you will always live in a world where you have to appease the opinions of others. You don't give yourself an opportunity to discover who you are if you're constantly living for the applause of others. So that's one of the first things we need to figure out.
Right.
But we live in a world where so many parents want to save their children from that sort of emotion. You're not, and they don't realize when you do that, when you jump in to save them, you're stripping them of the opportunity to establish self-esteem. I don't need everybody to fucking like me. I don't like everyone.
Right.
I don't like most of you motherfuckers.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't fuck with most of you.
Yeah.
So why would I live in a world where I'm at the mercy of everybody's opinion? Fuck that.
Yeah, it's
so much
scary. It's a scary spot because it's so much easier said than done, right?
Of course.
You know what I mean? But like, do you, with like all these like athletes and parents that you're working with, like, what's a common theme that you've noticed that like you'd share with the audience? Like, if they have kids out there struggling or whatever, or like just overall game.
I think,
is there one thing that a lot of these parents are struggling with?
Well, the parents for sure, right? Like, parents, they want to save their children from disappointment, from rejection.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because we're human and we know what that feels like. We know what it feels like to be rejected, and we never want, and there's nothing more challenging than watching someone you love struggle.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing as powerful as parental love towards their children.
Yeah.
So when a parent jumps in to save their children in a situation where they can tell it's going to backfire, really what they're doing is selfish, because they're really trying to save themselves from engaging with the disappointment or the heartbreak of watching someone they love struggle, because they haven't been taught the beautiful lessons that struggle and rejection give us access to.
Yeah.
And I think this becomes this generational thing, right? Like
Just gets passed down.
My grandparents weren't having conversations surrounding how to identify, process, and manage their emotions. They weren't learned. They didn't know.
Nobody
that.
was talking about it.
Nobody was. So so that influenced how my mom.
I don't think a lot of people are talking about it even now.
100%, 100%, and this is why my mission is to travel the country and have these conversations with as many dynamic audiences as possible, because I believe it is an ecosystem problem. It's an ecosystem problem. Our education system has failed us on a very fundamental level by not pouring into and teaching and training people on how their brains naturally function and how their emotions influence how we engage with the world. We don't learn this shit in school.
No. Why would they teach us that?
Because, and if you think about it, right now you start to get into some fucking conspiracy theory shit.
Yeah.
But the reality is our society thrives off of our inability to do those things.
Yeah.
Our society thrives off of our fear, doubt, and insecurity. And when you look around, what is everything you see?
Right.
You look on TV, you look on media, everywhere you look.
They're instilling fear.
And the human that doesn't know how to identify, process, and manage fear is a human that's going to be a slave to fear.
Right. And I mean, every time you turn the news on, there's never good news on.
It's everywhere.
There's never good news on. But why would they put good news on the news station? Like
you lose.
You know what I mean? There's good news.
You lose control.
Yeah.
You lose control.
And if they keep, and if it's dude, it blows my mind. Dude, I haven't watched the news in probably 5-6 years. But like, dude, it's always bad news. And if you're consuming bad news all day long, you're just going to be conditioned to think that the world is a terrible place, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just got, I think my point on that is like, you got to make an effort to surround yourself with the people that have that positive frequency and just spend as much time there as possible. And like yourself, like our conversations are like, you know what I mean? We're talking about the same things all the time.
100%, because there's very few things that really matter.
Yeah, and I think that if you can get those few things right, which I'm trying to do, I think that it's just a lot more fun to live that way.
100%. It's liberating.
You know what I mean? It's fun to do things that you enjoy doing, and it's even more fun to share them with other people.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah, dude, I really appreciate you coming on. I want you to kind of share what's next, what you're most excited about in 2026.
Man, 2026, I'm going to continue to go on tour. I'm getting ready to go on tour next month, and I'll be on the road for the next 3 months. And then just continuing to pour into these athletes and coaches, right? I really have a vision to change the landscape of mental performance by equipping these athletes, these coaches with like real understanding that they're able to apply at the highest level to transform their lives. And yeah, man, that's I'm dialed in on that. Like that's what I want to do. Can
you explain to the audience like what the type of school, the size of schools you're talking to, the audience and stuff, so you paint the picture, because I think that 100%,
100%. So quite honestly, like everything comes from this person over player philosophy that I have. Person over player, right? You take the same brain with you into every arena of your life. So the more you can pour into the person, the more dangerous the player. Right? So and the way that I do that is by going out in the field. Like I'm really out in the field. I'm at middle schools, I'm at high schools, I'm at colleges, I'm at working with professional teams, so that I can get the direct data from the source themselves. I want to know what the middle school kids are thinking. I want to know what the high school athletes are struggling with. I want to know what the parents are struggling with. So when I go into these spaces, It's so that I can collect evidence so that when I come back home and I work with a team or I work with an individual, I have a very holistic approach because I'm seeing the trends. When I work with a professional team, I know what the next wave of high school athletes are going to need. I know I'm ahead of the curve because I see the trends because I'm working with them hands-on myself. So that's really like it all comes back to being able to make this ecosystem function a bit more cohesively.
Yeah.
Because you think of parents, coaches, athletes, teachers, administrators, these are all separate entities within a greater ecosystem. And when they don't realize that they're functioning in an ecosystem, it only becomes about their own problems.
Yeah.
Right? And the more we can equip every single part of these, every single part of this ecosystem, the more it all functions better.
Yeah, and the better the teachers and the coaches understand what the kids are going through, and the parents.
100%. 100%.
And I think it's also important
to bridge the gap. That's the whole point, to bridge the gap between all of these separate entities.
Yeah, and I also think that when a high school freshman is sitting there, they don't think the point guard at Syracuse is dealing with anything. They just think he's the man, and he's just out there, and he's a baller, and that's it. At least that's what I was thinking when I was in high school. Of course. Those guys don't have problems. They don't have doubts. They're just the man.
At that level because they don't wrestle with the things that you do.
Yeah, and like obviously you played at that level. People are dealing with this all the way to the pros.
It's a human experience.
Yeah,
it's a human experience, and the more we can tap into that, the better equipped we are to show up for all of the demands of our lives.
Yeah.
To be a parent, to be a coach, to be an athlete, right? The more you understand yourself, the more equipped you are to show up more fully for every other person in your life.
100%. So I want to ask, since building this business, what has been like the most exciting part of it, and then what has been like, and outside of like the core, like the business of like engaging with the audience, I'm talking like building a brand and like getting traction and stuff like that. Looking back over the past few years since you've started it, I want to hear that story of like steps, you know what I mean? And how important it is to kind of just keep laying brick by brick throughout your journey here, and how if you look back, you've made some progress, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Crazy progress. And I think that I just want to hear your take on all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like every so often there are these like monumental moments that you're like, oh shit,
I'm at Gillette Stadium. Yeah.
I'm literally like getting ready to go in and work with the New England Patriots.
Right.
Like there are these moments that, and it gets lost on you like when you're in it, because your head's down, you're just chugging away, and you don't really have time to keep looking up and wondering, is anybody noticing the progress I'm making, or you don't have time. Like you get lost in it. You hit this sort of rhythm and flow state. And every so often these moments happened where it's like, holy shit, like how do we get here?
Yeah, it's like it's so funny, dude. I was like, I just remember that classroom, that first story you posted in the classroom, and now you're at Gillette Stadium with the Pats.
Like, how do we get here, bro? Like, how do we get here? And
how did you get there? Like, simplify that down. Like, how did you get there?
Man, just by being willing and humble enough to go and speak to a basketball team at Milton Academy.
Yeah.
Right? Being humble enough to do that.
Everybody wants to speak at Gillette, but nobody wants to go through all the steps that get there.
100%.
Right?
100%.
And how important are those steps?
It's critical, right? Because every single step you take, while like, yes, I've had this vision of like being where I am now and doing the work I'm doing now, and it goes far and much beyond. But you don't realize that the pathway there is the pathway you take to really fulfilling that vision is the path that's going to introduce you to all of the tools that you need, right? All of the internal molding that is required for you to sustain the lifestyle that this vision requires. And that first step was humility.
Yep.
Right? And then the next step is courage. Right? Then the step becomes perseverance, because you get in the fucking thick of things and you got to really grind this
keep
shit out.
Showing up. You got to keep showing up. Nobody's clapping.
100%,
Nobody's clapping.
100%.
You just got to keep showing up.
Right? And it's like you keep stacking these like life skills.
And evidence that you're doing it.
And then one day you just fucking...
You keep going. Yeah, it's crazy what you can do in a year.
You know,
it's crazy.
It's insanity. I think entrepreneurship is one of the most spiritual experiences anyone can ever engage with.
Yeah, and it's so fun. Like, aside from everything else, like, dude, this is so fun. Just popping in here this morning, Sunday morning,
100%.
getting this done, and I mean, I love it. But
yes, sir.
You know, it's funny. I was like, there's this Travis Scott video years ago when he was performing in front of, like, must have been 10 people, right? And he was performing at this, like, he had this, like, little stage, and there was, like, 10 people there. And
he's probably going nuts,
too. He was performing as if he was performing at the Garden.
Because he had a vision.
And he had that vision, and I just think that, like, having that delusional belief in whatever it is you're doing is just so imperative. And I think it's, like, and it's okay that if you have that delusion towards something and you give it your best, it's also okay to pivot into a different thing. You know what I mean? If you decide, okay, I gave this my all, I'm ready to switch over to this, I think that's okay too.
100%. I think you just have to be honest with yourself about why you're pivoting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because so many people pivot when they get right close to that line.
Right, 100%.
They get right close to that line, and it's like,
and then they quit. Yeah.
So, and again, that's where understanding yourself and really knowing how to be honest with yourself becomes so critical. Because you're right, there's nothing wrong with pivoting. There's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
If I didn't pivot, I would never know who I am today.
Right.
But you have to be honest about why.
100%, dude.
No doubt. Appreciate you, brother.
Well, dude, this is great, Caleb. I appreciate you coming on. Let everybody know where they can find you on Instagram, social media, all that.
Yeah, on Instagram. The name of my business is Self Help Tour on Instagram. My personal page is Kaleb Joseph 15. Please follow. Trying to continue to build this, and yeah, man. If any of you guys are interested in the things that we talked about, I'd love to come to your organization and continue this conversation.
Perfect, bro. I appreciate you coming on. For real, that was great. That was awesome. But dude, that's it. That's it right there. Sunday AM, we're getting it done.
Yes, sir.